Today, we're exploring the key ideas from How to Talk So Kids Will Listen and Listen So Kids Will Talk by Adele Faber, Elaine Mazlish. This is an independent educational overview enriched with our own integrative analysis and actionable exercises. Think of it as a guided reflection to spark your own insights, not a replacement for reading the book itself. In the complex landscape of raising children, the journey often begins with well-intentioned theories that quickly collide with the nuanced reality of daily interactions. Parents frequently find themselves navigating a torrent of emotional outbursts, defiant stances, and seemingly illogical demands from their young ones. These challenging moments, whether over a preferred snack or an imagined slight, can prompt a profound reevaluation of established parenting approaches. A core insight emerging from this introspection is the indelible link between a child's emotional state and their observable behavior. When children genuinely feel seen, heard, and emotionally secure, their capacity for constructive action expands dramatically. The bedrock of this positive state is not control, but a deep, consistent acceptance of their intrinsic feelings, a practice that fundamentally shifts the dynamic from confrontation to collaboration. This acceptance, however, is far from intuitive for many. Societal norms and personal upbringing often predispose adults to inadvertently invalidate a child's emotional experience. Phrases like, "You couldn't possibly be sad about that," or "there's nothing to be afraid of," while perhaps aimed at reassurance, subtly communicate that a child's internal reality is incorrect or unwarranted. Such dismissals can confuse and frustrate, slowly eroding a child's ability to trust their own perceptions and articulate their inner world. Over time, this pattern stifles emotional literacy and erects barriers to authentic connection. The transformative act lies in consciously choosing to validate what a child is experiencing, even if the adult doesn't fully grasp the underlying cause or agree with the situation itself. Simply acknowledging their feeling, perhaps by reflecting it back in a neutral way, opens a vital channel for communication and fosters a crucial sense of being understood. This shift, though challenging when confronting uncomfortable emotions, proves profoundly effective in minimizing conflict and nurturing mutual respect. The power of empathetic connection. At the heart of fostering a flourishing parent-child relationship lies the profound, often underestimated, power of empathic connection. This isn't merely about superficial agreement. It's about extending genuine acceptance to a child's emotional landscape, no matter how turbulent or illogical it may seem from an adult perspective. Many parents instinctively try to fix or suppress their children's discomfort, rushing to offer solutions or dismiss feelings that make them uneasy. For instance, if a child expresses frustration about a simple puzzle, a common reaction might be, "It's not that hard, just try again," or "Don't be silly, you'll get it." While well-meaning, such responses subtly deny the child's legitimate experience of difficulty. Instead, a more constructive approach involves simply reflecting the observed emotion. "It looks like that puzzle piece is really bothering you," or "You seem quite frustrated with how that's going." This simple act of mirroring validates the child's inner world, communicating that their feelings are legitimate and seen. The detrimental effects of invalidating a child's emotions are often overlooked. When a child routinely hears that their anger is unwarranted, their sadness is an overreaction, or their fear is irrational, they learn to distrust their own internal compass. Imagine an adult sharing a stressful work incident only to be met with, "That's not a big deal, you shouldn't feel that way," or "Just get over it." The natural response is often a sense of isolation, further frustration, and a reluctance to share future struggles. The same holds true even more profoundly for children whose emotional vocabulary and coping mechanisms are still developing. Repeated denial of their feelings can lead to a belief that their emotions are wrong, forcing them to suppress genuine reactions or express them through less constructive channels, like defiance or withdrawal. A child told repeatedly they aren't tired when they feel exhausted might internalize a disconnect from their own physical sensations, learning to ignore crucial bodily cues. Conversely, a child whose feelings are consistently acknowledged gains invaluable tools for emotional intelligence. When a young person complains about an unfair situation with a friend, an empathetic response might be, "It sounds like you're really upset about how that happened, and it feels unfair to you." This isn't an endorsement of the friend's action or a promise to intervene, it's a recognition of the child's emotional state. This space allows the child to process their feelings, to articulate the nuances of their upset, and often to arrive at their own solutions or strategies for coping. They learn that experiencing difficult emotions is normal and manageable, and that their parents are a safe harbor for expressing them. This language of acceptance may feel unnatural at first, almost like learning a new dialect. It requires parents to pause, to truly listen beyond the words to the underlying feeling, and to resist the impulse to immediately advise, judge, or dismiss. For instance, if a child says, "I hate my sister," a common reactive response might be, "Don't say that, you don't mean it," or "That's a terrible thing to say about your sister." While the sentiment is jarring, the underlying feeling is valid, perhaps intense frustration or anger. An empathic response might instead acknowledge the intensity. "You sound really furious with your sister right now," or "It sounds like you're having some very strong feelings about her." By creating this space, the child can then explain, "She took my toy without asking," leading to a more productive conversation about boundaries and communication, rather than shaming them for an intense emotion. This foundation of empathic listening cultivates trust, allowing children to feel secure enough to share their struggles, knowing they will be met with understanding, not judgment, and ultimately empowering them to navigate their inner world with greater resilience. Cultivating responsibility over coercion. The daily dance of parenthood often involves guiding children towards behaviors that align with family values and societal expectations. Yet, this crucial task frequently devolves into a battle of wills, where traditional methods of control prove not only ineffective but actively damaging. Many parents fall into patterns of coercion, employing tactics they themselves may have experienced, believing them to be necessary for discipline or character development. These methods, blaming, shaming, threatening, demanding, lecturing, or constant warning, create a fraught atmosphere, turning the parent into an adversary rather than an ally. Consider the common scenario of a child struggling with a chore, like tidying their room. A parent might resort to accusations. "Why is your room always such a disaster? You're so messy." Or resort to name-calling. "You're acting like a slob." They might issue threats. "If this room isn't clean in 5 minutes, no screen time," or deliver an exhaustive lecture on the importance of order. Some parents might compare them to a sibling. "Why can't you be organized like your sister?" Use sarcasm. "Oh, I suppose the mess will magically clean itself, won't it?" Or even make a negative prophecy. "You'll never learn to keep things tidy." From a child's perspective, each of these tactics elicits a profoundly negative emotional response: humiliation, resentment, fear, guilt, or fierce defiance. Rather than inspiring cooperation, they create emotional walls, eroding self-esteem and fostering an antagonistic dynamic where the child is more focused on resisting or retaliating than on understanding their actions. The fundamental flaw in these coercive approaches is that they are deeply distracting. When a child is threatened, their primary focus shifts from the misbehavior to the fear of punishment or the anger at the unfairness. If they are shamed, their energy is consumed by feelings of inadequacy or defiance. This external pressure prevents the crucial internal processing necessary for genuine learning and self-correction. Instead of reflecting on why their actions were problematic or how to make amends, they become preoccupied with the adult's anger, plotting revenge, or devising ways to avoid future detection. Fortunately, there are potent alternatives to punishment that foster responsibility and intrinsic motivation. Instead of blaming, a parent can point out a way to be helpful. If a child has spilled juice, rather than chastising, one might say, "The juice is on the floor. Here's a cloth you can use to wipe it up." This guides them toward a constructive action. Expressing strong disapproval without attacking character is another powerful tool. Instead of, "You're so inconsiderate for leaving your bike in the driveway," a parent might state, "I am really frustrated when the bike is left in the driveway because someone could trip over it." This focuses on the action and its impact, not the child's identity. Clearly stating expectations empowers a child to know what is required of them. "I expect the toys to be put back in the box after play" is more effective than vague warnings. When a misstep occurs, showing the child how to make amends provides a path to repair. If they've accidentally broken a household item, suggesting they help tape it or offer an apology helps them take ownership. Offering a choice within acceptable boundaries provides a sense of agency. "You can either help me put the books away now, or you can do it after dinner. Which works for you?" This empowers them while still ensuring the task gets done. Sometimes immediate, decisive action is required to stop undesirable behavior, delivered respectfully and without anger. If a child is throwing sand, a parent might gently but firmly remove them from the sandbox, stating, "Sand is not for throwing." Finally, allowing a child to experience the natural or logical consequences of their misbehavior is a powerful teacher. If a toy is repeatedly left outside and gets ruined, the natural consequence is that the toy is now broken and perhaps cannot be replaced immediately. This allows the outcome of their actions to provide the lesson, fostering self-correction rather than resentment. These approaches shift the focus from external control to internal guidance, equipping children with the skills to understand their impact, take responsibility, and navigate the world with greater autonomy and self-respect. Liberating potential through perception and support. Every child arrives in the world as a unique individual, brimming with nascent potential, yet their trajectory is profoundly shaped by the perceptions and labels imposed upon them by the adults in their lives. These labels, often introduced innocently or even humorously, can become powerful, self-fulfilling prophecies. Imagine a newborn described as stubborn by a casual observer. If this perception takes root in a parent's mind, every instance of strong will or determination might subsequently be interpreted through this lens, reinforcing the stubborn identity. The child, in turn, internalizes this repeated message and begins to embody the role, whether it's the messy one, the shy one, or the clever one. A child consistently described as clumsy might become hesitant to engage in physical activities, fearing they will only confirm the label, thus limiting their own development. The profound impact of parental perception extends beyond spoken words. It is conveyed through subtle cues, a sigh, an eye roll, a dismissive tone, or an encouraging smile. These nonverbal messages, delivered countless times each day, transmit powerful information about a child's perceived worth and capability. Consider a young person attempting to help with a household task, like setting the table. If a parent harbors an unspoken belief that the child is too young or incompetent, their anxiety might translate into hovering, correcting every slight misstep, or even taking over the task. The child, sensing this underlying doubt, may internalize feelings of inadequacy, growing frustrated, hesitant, and eventually reluctant to offer help again. They learn that their efforts are not valued, or worse, that they are inherently incapable. Conversely, if the parent perceives the child as capable and willing to learn, their approach will differ markedly. They might offer a warm invitation to help, provide gentle guidance when a fork is placed incorrectly, and acknowledge persistence with a smile. That's a good start. The forks go on the left side, by the plate. In this environment, the child feels empowered to try, comfortable making mistakes, and sees errors as opportunities for learning rather than evidence of failure. They develop a robust sense of self-efficacy, a belief in their own ability to master challenges. These subtle, moment-to-moment interactions, multiplied over years, fundamentally shape not only a child's self-esteem, but also their actual behavior and willingness to engage with the world. A crucial aspect of liberating a child from limiting roles involves a thoughtful approach to affirmation. Blanket evaluative praise, such as "you're a brilliant artist" for a simple drawing, or "you're so smart" after a correct answer, can often backfire. Such statements can provoke doubt in the child. Am I really that brilliant? What if my next drawing isn't as good? Create anxiety about future performance, or even foster a sense of being manipulated. The focus remains on external validation, dependent on the adult's judgment. Instead, truly helpful affirmation involves a two-pronged strategy. First, the adult describes, with genuine appreciation, exactly what they observe or feel. For instance, when a child presents a drawing, instead of "that's very good," a parent might say, "I see strong, swirling lines here, and you've used so many vibrant colors." This descriptive feedback is objective and focused on the effort or specific elements. Second, and critically, this descriptive approach empowers the child to internalize the observation and praise themselves. The child, hearing the specific details, can then proudly conclude, "Yes, I spent a long time on those colors, and I really like how the swirls turned out." This shifts the locus of evaluation from external authority to internal recognition, cultivating an authentic and resilient sense of self-worth. By consciously choosing descriptive language over evaluative judgments, and by recognizing the profound impact of our unspoken perceptions, parents can actively dismantle the limiting roles that children might inhabit and truly liberate their potential to thrive as self-aware, confident individuals. Further, integrative analysis and implications. The principles outlined represent a profound paradigm shift in parenting, moving away from a hierarchical model of control and toward one rooted in mutual respect, empathy, and the cultivation of intrinsic motivation. At its core, this approach understands that a child's behavior is often a manifestation of their internal state, and that by addressing the underlying feelings and fostering a sense of competence, we pave the way for more constructive and cooperative actions. The journey begins with the revolutionary act of authentic emotional validation. Instead of dismissing or fixing a child's feelings, parents are encouraged to acknowledge and mirror them, creating a psychological space where the child feels truly heard. This initial step disarms defensiveness and builds a foundation of trust, transforming the parent into an ally rather than an adjudicator. This isn't about condoning undesirable behavior, but about recognizing the human experience behind it. A child who feels understood is far more receptive to guidance and problem-solving. This foundation then supports a departure from traditional, often counterproductive, disciplinary tactics. The constant cycle of blame, threats, lectures, and punishment, while seemingly offering immediate control, ultimately breeds resentment, defiance, and a damaged sense of self-worth. These methods teach children to avoid punishment rather than to understand their impact or take responsibility. The commentary-style overview, instead, champions alternatives that empower children to learn from their mistakes. Guiding them toward helpful actions, expressing clear disapproval without attacking character, stating expectations, facilitating amends, offering choices, taking decisive action when necessary, and allowing natural consequences all serve to foster an internal locus of control and genuine accountability. These strategies frame misbehavior as a learning opportunity, encouraging reflection and growth rather than fear-driven compliance. Further, the exploration delves into the subtle yet profound influence of parental perception and descriptive feedback. The labels, even unspoken, that parents assign to their children can become powerful self-fulfilling prophecies, inadvertently trapping a child in a predefined role. This highlights the critical need for conscious awareness of one's internal biases and the messages, both verbal and nonverbal, that are consistently conveyed. By consciously shifting from evaluative praise to descriptive observations, parents empower children to internalize their achievements and develop an authentic sense of self-worth, one that is not reliant on external validation. This fosters a belief in their own capabilities and encourages them to break free from limiting roles, embracing their full potential. Ultimately, integrating these principles requires a commitment to continuous learning and self-correction from parents. These are not prescriptive rules to be rigidly followed, but rather a flexible framework built on empathy and respect. Parenting moments are rarely rehearsed, yet by internalizing the core tenets, listening deeply to a child's feelings, clearly articulating one's own needs, and focusing on collaborative problem-solving, parents gain a compass for navigating challenging situations. This holistic approach cultivates not only well-behaved children, but resilient, self-aware individuals equipped with emotional intelligence and a strong sense of personal agency. The profound implication is a transformation of the family dynamic, fostering deeper connections, mutual understanding, and a supportive environment where both children and parents can flourish and grow. Actionable exercises. 1. The feeling mirror. When your child expresses big emotions, whether it's frustration, sadness, anger, or even overwhelming joy, your first instinct might be to fix it, dismiss it, or tell them how they should feel. Instead, pause and simply reflect what you hear or see. For example, if they're fuming over a broken toy, resist saying, "It's just a toy, don't be sad." Try instead, "You seem really, really frustrated that your toy broke," or "It sounds like you're upset about that." You don't need to agree with the situation or offer solutions. Just acknowledging their feeling creates a powerful sense of being heard and understood. Practice this daily. When your child shares any strong emotion, make it your goal to identify and validate that feeling aloud. Notice how this simple act can calm the storm and open the door for deeper connection. 2. Cooperation connectors. Think about a common interaction where you struggle to get your child's cooperation, leading you to resort to lecturing, blaming, or threatening. For the next week, identify just one of these counterproductive habits you want to change. When that situation arises, instead of falling back on the old tactic, try a new approach. First, acknowledge their perspective or feeling. You really don't want to put your shoes on right now, do you? Then, state your need or expectation clearly and respectfully, focusing on the action, not their character. "We need to leave in 5 minutes, so your shoes need to be on now." You might also offer a limited choice. Would you like to put on the red shoes or the blue ones? Or point out a way they can be helpful. Observe how shifting your communication style invites a different response from your child, fostering a more collaborative atmosphere. 3. The fix-it framework. The next time your child misbehaves or makes a mistake, resist the impulse to punish. Instead, choose one of these powerful alternatives to guide them toward understanding and responsibility. Express strong disapproval of the action, not the child. "Hitting is not okay. I don't like it when you hit." Point out a way to be helpful. The blocks are all over the floor. What can we do to put them away? Show them how to make amends. Your friend's drawing got torn. Let's help them tape it back together. Offer a choice. You can finish your homework before screen time, or you can do it after, but screen time will be shorter. Allow natural or logical consequences. Since your backpack wasn't put away, you can't find your book for school. Experiment with these options. Your goal is to help your child learn from their actions and develop problem-solving skills, rather than focusing on retribution. 4. My turn to try. It's natural to jump in and help your child, especially when they're struggling, but constant intervention can inadvertently teach helplessness. Identify one small task that your child could manage themselves, even if it takes them longer or isn't done perfectly, but which you usually do for them. This could be pouring their own water, choosing their clothes, packing a simple snack, or even resolving a minor sibling dispute. For the next few days, make a conscious effort to step back, offer encouragement and resources, but let them attempt the task first. If they ask for help, ask, "What have you tried so far?" Or, "What do you think might work?" Celebrate their efforts and the satisfaction they gain from their own accomplishments, reinforcing their capability and growing independence. 5. Spotlight praise. Instead of using general evaluative praise like "you're so smart" or "good job," which can sometimes create pressure or doubt, practice spotlight praise. This involves describing exactly what you observe or feel with genuine appreciation. When your child does something you want to encourage, instead of "you're such a great helper," try "you carried all those heavy books to the shelf. That was a big help." Instead of "what a beautiful drawing," try "I see you used so many bright colors, and all those little details in the house are fascinating." Instead of "you finished your whole dinner, you're so good," try "you ate all your vegetables today. You were really determined to finish your plate." This descriptive approach allows your child to interpret your observations and form their own positive conclusions about their skills and efforts, building a more authentic and lasting self-esteem. That wraps up our exploration of today's book. If even one idea here gave you something to reflect on, give it a like so YouTube knows to share more with you. And if you'd like the next insight in your feed, hit subscribe. Remember, what you heard today is our independent interpretation, enriched with analysis and exercises. The full book has far more depth, so consider reading it to experience the author's work directly. Thanks for listening to DeftU Insights, where we turn great books into tools for growth.